So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Workforce Wednesday webinar. My name is Kirsten Bayer with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University. I will be on for facilitation and moderation today, so feel free to type in the chat, private message me if you have any logistical questions about today's webinar or any follow-up questions or just any questions for the presenter if you need to be put into contact with Shannon. Today we're being joined by Shannon Distill, a computer skills instructor, and so we're excited to welcome her. Her topic today is about social etiquette essentials, best practices for everyday interactions. And we're excited to hear this topic from her, but a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Like I said, my name is Kirsten Bayer. I'm the Assistant Director of Communications at ICSPS at Illinois State University. I'm joined today by my, colleague, I would call you colleague, Sarah, our sister center, like we like to call them, at the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center, or SIPDC. Sarah Goldammer, the director, is also on today to help with just manning the chat and answering any questions, and to just help be on for additional support for Shannon. So thank you, Sarah, for your role as well. Wanted to introduce you. You can go to the next slide, Shannon. We are on Zoom webinar today, not Zoom meeting. So if you were on this morning's webinar, then that was Zoom meeting. So this is a little bit different. You do not have the capability to turn on your microphone or your cameras. Just a little bit more of a closed-ended platform. However, we do encourage your participation with questions or comments or dialogue. You can participate in the chat or the Q&A if you would like to type a question in there. Excuse me. And then towards the end of the session, you can also feel free to raise your Zoom hand and we can unmute you and you can have that open dialogue with Shannon for any Q&A or scenario-based questions. So we do welcome that as well. We are recording today's webinar and it will be posted on our Illinois Workforce Academy website as well as Illinois WorkNet. And then you will receive that hyperlink tomorrow in a follow-up email along with a follow-up survey. It's about 5 questions. We do, Sarah and myself help support staff. The WIOA Professional Development Committee, which has representation from all 4 WIOA core partners on it, as well as local representation. And they are the committee that helps to plan all of the topics, find the presenters, and execute all of the Workforce Wednesday webinars that you see all year long. So we just use the analytics from that survey as well as the polls that we're about to do here to ensure that we are meeting the system where you guys are all at, that we are providing professional development that you want to attend, that you want to see, and that's benefiting the work that you're doing throughout the state. So we appreciate you joining us and we would appreciate your feedback on that 5-question follow-up survey in the follow-up email tomorrow. I'll start off with our beginning polls. Looks like we have Beth who already typed in the chat, so thank you, Beth. But the first one is just where is your location today? So where's your local area? If you could answer Chicago, Northern, Central, Southern Illinois, or statewide. And I'll give everyone a couple seconds to go ahead and answer that. For those of you who typed in the chat, thank you for typing in the chat. But if you could go ahead and answer the poll as well, I would appreciate it, just so we have all those analytics on one nice, seamless Excel sheet when I run the report. And we do have closed captioning on today too for accessibility reasons or note-taking purposes. If you would like to turn those on, you can do so on your Zoom toolbar. Give everyone a couple more seconds. Some of you are trickling in still. Jonathan typed in the chat. You can absolutely introduce yourself, Jonathan. Thank you. Right now, we're just doing a poll. It might not show up for you if you just joined. Just where's your local area? So you can feel free to type that in the chat if you'd like, Jonathan. So I'll go ahead and end that poll, share the results. Looks like we have quite a few people from Chicago and Northern Illinois, and then the rest of you sprinkled across Central, Southern, and statewide. So thank you for participating in that. And then the next one, if you want to go to the next slide, Shannon, is just where or which partner do you best represent? So if you best represent Title I, Title II, Title III, or Title IV, or a different WIOA partner and stakeholder, or state or local workforce innovation board member. So we appreciate you answering that. Looks like we have a couple other people who are joining us from Chicago. Carmen and Caesar, thank you. Thank you for participating in the chat. For those of you who just joined, just to reiterate, we are recording today's webinar and you'll receive that hyperlink with the slides, handouts from today, and the recording in a follow-up email tomorrow. All right. I'm going to go ahead and this looks like we have quite a few people from Title I and II, and a couple people from Title III and other WAO partners and stakeholders as well. Some of you are also participating in the chat. Thank you so much for doing that. We'll make sure we save that for analytical purposes. And I'm going to hand it off to Shannon to start her webinar. Please feel free to type or private message myself or Sarah Goldhammer if you have any technical issues or logistical questions during today's webinar. Shannon, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Distel. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I am the computer skills instructor at Trellis in Chicago. I teach beginning, intermediate, and advanced level computer skills. Trellis is in the Westridge neighborhood on the north side of Chicago. I also teach Zoom webinars on a variety of topics, and those are available in the summer. Our students are mostly immigrants and refugees from all around the world, and if they are taking the class in the summer, it is 6 weeks. If they are taking classes during the rest of our terms, they are 12-week classes, and I'm thrilled to be here today to talk with you. So this is a description of the webinar. Just as a little reminder of what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about social etiquette and the impact of social media on our personal and professional reputations. Let's start with the obvious. The digital world is real life. Now, in today's connected society, how we act online carries real world consequences. And what we do professionally can greatly impact our careers. Websites, social media, the messaging apps that you use, and digital platforms, they are all extensions of our public and private selves. Now, the next slide I'm going to show you is a picture. And if you know who is in this picture, I would like you to type it in the chat. Any ideas? They were in the news quite a bit in July. Rachel, you are correct. Correct. CEO and girlfriend, astronomer CEO, excellent. Mistress. Wow, yes, all of you are correct. So for those of you who did not recognize this couple in the slide, they were at the Coldplay concert in Massachusetts on July 16th, 2025. That is the CEO, Andy Byron, and the Chief People Officer, Kristen Cabot. And they were caught on the kiss cam. Now that quickly went viral, and for a few days, it was pretty much the lead story on social media. And there was quite a fallout from their actions at this concert. Now, in response to the incident, both of them were placed on immediate leave, and they both quickly thereafter resigned. Now, this went viral because it was posted in a video by a concert goer. Their actions were obviously independent of that video. The video is not shared by either of these two people, but it did go viral after it was shared on multiple social media platforms. The company had to put out multiple releases about this couple, and I believe that Byron also put out a statement about this incident. So that begs the question, how much can what we do in our personal lives affect what we do in our professional lives? Now, I'm going to go to another slide and I'm going to ask you a few more questions. I would like you to tell me, with each question, what is the appropriate social media platform to post content regarding this question? The first one, you are sharing photos of a family event. Which social media platform do you feel that is the most appropriate for sharing photos of a family event? Let's see what you put in the chat. Yes, I am seeing a lot of Facebook. Facebook, Facebook, yes. All right, let's do the second one. You are looking for a job and you're asking for leads. What do you think is the appropriate social media platform if you are looking for assistance with finding a job? Yes, LinkedIn. Absolutely. Let's do the next one. You need help finding your lost dog. Local group, Facebook. I like that. Good detail. Facebook, Facebook. Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay. 4. You have completed professional development training and you would like to share that with your peers, your coworkers, your professional network. Where is it appropriate to share that? LinkedIn. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of LinkedIn. Absolutely. We have one more. You are moving. The chat slowed down. None. Yes, none. I like that. That was a trick question. It is none. It is not appropriate to share that on any social media platforms. Well done. All right, let's go to the next slide. Your digital footprint. I'm going to explain what your digital footprint is. It is a record of your activity online. Now, that is a trail of data created by everything that you do online. That includes your browsing history, your social media posts, the purchases, the emails, anything that is actively created. Now, there are 2 parts to your digital footprint. The first one is your active digital footprint. This is the information that you choose to put online. Now, I have a few bullet points here on what that would include. Anything that you are posting photos or videos, whether you are posting them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. If you comment on a news article, you write a blog or you create a website, you write reviews of products or services. This could be on a business page or it could be on Amazon. When you are sending emails, when you are joining a Zoom meeting or webinar, and when you are liking and sharing content, that is an active digital footprint. You are choosing to share that content online. The second part of the digital footprint is your passive digital footprint. Now, this is the information that is collected about you without your direct input. So that includes the websites that are tracking your browsing habits, usually with cookies. It includes the apps that are collecting your location data, the search engines that are storing your search history, and the platforms that record the time that you spend on certain posts or watching certain videos. Now, what do you need to know about your digital footprint? It's public, it's permanent. Now, even deleted posts can be saved or screenshotted. And you've probably heard in the news about posts specifically on Twitter, which is now X, that have come back to haunt celebrities, politicians, people looking for jobs, students, your employers, your colleagues, your schools, the community in which you live. People check your online activity, whether they are looking to hire, they're looking to network, they're interested in working for your company or with you, and if they are creating trust. Now, a careless post, or obviously an outdated profile, can damage your reputation, personal and professionally, while a thoughtful professional presence can enhance it. Now, these are some statistics from 2025 about social media use worldwide. And I am sure you are not surprised that Facebook remains the global leader with 3.15 billion monthly active users. Now, YouTube is holding strong at 2.7 billion users, and they dominate video content. Instagram at 2 billion users, which emphasizes visual storytelling. TikTok is rising and it's at 1.58 billion users. Now, if you are using LinkedIn, it is also an incredibly important and valuable professional social networking site and app. So you may or may not be surprised at just how many people are using these platforms worldwide. Now, that begs the question, what is social etiquette, also known as netiquette? Now, this is a set of guidelines for polite, respectful, and responsible behaviors that we are expected to follow when interacting on the internet. These are unwritten rules that govern how we engage with each other on social media, in email, in online forums, and other digital platforms. So, what exactly would some of that social etiquette entail? Well, it entails respectful communication, treating others with courtesy and politeness, and considering and expressing differing opinions. It includes privacy and data protection, respecting the privacy of others, and not sharing your personal information. It includes responsible content sharing, verifying the information before you share it, giving credit to the original sources, and avoiding the spread of misinformation. It includes clear and concise communication and using an appropriate language and tone. Constructive criticism, avoiding cyberbullying, being mindful of the content that you share, using appropriate greetings and closings when you are emailing, and following forums rules if you use online forums. It also includes your instant messaging, using appropriate language and tone, and not messaging excessively. Now that you know a little bit more about what social etiquette is, those unwritten guidelines that we are all expected to know and to understand, let's talk a little bit about where you work. And if you know your employer's social media policy. Now, a social media policy is usually a comprehensive document that outlines the confidential information of the business for whom you work. Now, it offers employees an in-depth approach to using social media when you are representing the business. Now, it also helps to protect the business from risk of involuntary misappropriation of social media. So, a social media policy might include guidelines on the language that is used on social media, how to respond to customers' remarks or complaints, either on a website or on a social media profile. And it includes social media etiquette and best practices. Now, if your business does not have a social media policy, they might have social media guidelines instead, but it is important to know what your company's social media policies or guidelines are. Now, let's look at a few headlines that have made it into the news in the past few years, specifically headlines about social media use that had consequences. This was an article from CNN that was quite in-depth about how easy it is to lose your job because of what you post on social media. An article from the BBC about posting that got multiple people arrested during a riot. A social media influencer that was charged with election interference in Florida. An Arlington Heights candidate who was denounced after a Facebook post. I actually was working for the village of Arlington Heights where that happened, and the local dentist actually withdrew his bid for a seat on the village board of trustees as a result of an inappropriate post that he put on Facebook. Social media controversies that landed students in trouble with their schools and universities, and people who have been jailed for social media posts. Now, you have probably maybe seen some of these headlines or seen other headlines because frankly, it happens very, very frequently. Now, there are also headlines about direct job loss as a result of social media activity. Losing jobs over Facebook posts, working in a hospital where an officer was unfortunately killed in the line of duty, and his information was shared before his family was notified. Another example, a coworker who posted about using all of their sick time before quitting, seen by the employer, and then terminated. Now, these tweets, just going to show one of them, went viral a few years ago. Alex had been hired as the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue. As she boarded a plane, she posted this tweet, and by the time she landed, she was out of a job. So, your information on social media, specifically if it is public, is being noticed by your coworkers, possibly your boss, the people who live around you, and your family and friends. So, unfortunately, if we are not careful with our personal and professional profiles on social media, there are consequences. Now, like we saw earlier in the slide, the Coldplay concert, a nurse fired for violations, workers losing their job after anti-Semitic social media posts, jailed, losing a job, terminated for mocking an applicant. Now, I could show you examples of inappropriate social media content, inappropriate social media etiquette for the entire time that I am talking to you on this webinar, but I'm going to also talk to you about how you can avoid security pitfalls and stay private. Now, ethical concerns when using social media. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Here are some of the things that you should consider. Privacy, yours and others, where you're posting and who you're posting with. Misinformation. Are you guilty of spreading it? Are you guilty of starting it? Or are you helping to debunk misinformation? Harassment and bullying, addiction to social media, mental health issues that arrive from too much social media or harassment and bullying, content moderation. If you see something inappropriate on social media, are you reporting it as inappropriate? Are you commenting on the inappropriateness of a post that you might see that is offensive? Or are you notifying the platform that it should be taken down? And data security. How much of what you are posting might include personal information, either yours or somebody else's? So, some of these ethical concerns that we need to think about is, well, unrealistic beauty, unrealistic body expectations, violence, affluence, and danger. These are very common. I am active on social media on pretty much every platform. I've been instructing social media since the dawn of social media, and I use them as frequently as anybody else. And I see these things every day. I see violence. I see affluence that makes other people feel insecure or unworthy. I see violence, whether it's on the news or it's somebody sharing something that they caught on video at a concert or a beach or a vacation or in a store. So all of these things are ethical concerns when we are using social media for our personal and our professional life. Now, this also includes misinformation. And here is an example of misinformation. Now, this is not real, obviously, but one of the things that is quite rampant on the internet and on social media is fake fundraising. Now, this is rescuing Matt Damon from Mars. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, believe it or not, there are people who would believe that the actor Matt Damon might need to be rescued from Mars. And this was a GoFundMe that had been set up. And this is incredibly common. fake fundraising accounts that are created to support tragedies, natural disasters, families in need. And it's always important to check to confirm if you know the family, did they really set up a GoFundMe account? Is it fake information? Can you use Google to determine if it is a real, for example, an animal shelter, or if a family is looking for assistance during a tragedy, if it is a real natural disaster? So this kind of information spreads, and if people are sharing it, it can hurt both our personal and professional reputations by sharing that misinformation. Now, something that is also unfortunately shared often is digitally altered images. Now, I have a couple here on the screen. The couple that you see, one of those images is the real couple. The other image is the digitally altered image. Now, this is actually a real couple. They had actually gained quite a large following across their social media platforms with the digitally altered images of their seemingly perfect and beautiful life. Well, as they became more popular on social media and on the internet, they started to have public meetups with their fans and with their followers. And the couple in their real life, how they look in real life, showed up, which is the other picture that you see there. And, well, let's just see, it caused some controversy when their fans and followers were expecting the digitally altered couple to walk in the door, and a normal looking couple walked in the door. And the pictures next to that, you might recognize her. That is actress Julia Roberts. And only one of those pictures is the real Julia Roberts, not the digitally altered Julia Roberts. Now, again, with this kind of misinformation and the concerns that we have about this information being shared, if you share something like this and it has been digitally altered, that is just perpetuating the ethical concerns that we have for setting unrealistic expectations with our social media use. Misinformation of another kind. This was shared frequently before the death of Queen Elizabeth II. This was actually shared across Twitter years before Queen Elizabeth II died. Now, I'd like you to take a look at the Twitter account that is claiming this content, BBC News UK. Now, just glancing at this screenshot of the tweet, it looks legitimate. The Twitter account is BBC News UK. It looks like a professionally created tweet. It has a nice picture of Queen Elizabeth II, and you might notice below her image that it was retweeted 236 times. Now, this was posted in 2016. She didn't die until many years later, but that account is not real. It was a fake account created just to create fake news and to spread the misinformation. Let's take a look at another one. This one is a catfishing account. Now, catfishing is when someone creates a fake online identity to deceive others. And it's usually with the goal of forming either a romantic or emotional relationship or for financial gain under false pretenses. Now, catfishers use fabricated profiles. They steal photos off of the internet. They make up personal information, and they lure their victims into a false sense of intimacy and trust. Now, this kind of deception can lead to emotional manipulation, financial scams, or even blackmail. Now, this is Jennifer Stevens, or so it says, a fake account that was created on Twitter, now X. And you can see that she's tweeted 25,000 tweets. She had a following. She was following 650 other Twitter accounts, and she had 4,950 followers and quite a few likes. Now, Jennifer had stated that she was a CEO in international sales and marketing for a media consulting company and in Los Angeles. And she had quite a lot of engagement on this Twitter account. Now, it turns out that Jennifer Stevens didn't exist, and the account, the posts, and the images were actually created by a catfisher, a man who was stealing images of women online to create catfish accounts, one for clicks, two, just to engage with other people, and hopefully not to lure under false pretenses any type of romantic or emotional relationship or monetary gain. This was eventually taken down when the person whose picture that actually is was notified that her picture was being used on a catfish account. So, lesson here. If your picture and your profiles are public, there is always the risk that those pictures can be taken and used in ways that you would not want them to. So, what do we do when we have ethical concerns with the information that we're seeing online and social media? Well, one of the things that we need to do is identify the platforms and each platform's reporting tools. So, whether you are using LinkedIn or you're using Facebook, or if you're using TikTok, those platforms have tools where you can report inappropriate online content. Now, there are going to be a couple of handouts available for you, and one of them is a security guideline checklist, and another is a step-by-step for the popular social media platforms on how you can check your security settings yourself, and then also when you're doing that, how you can find those reporting tools to report inappropriate content. Now, when you are reporting inappropriate content that you see on these platforms, you usually do have to have an accurate reason for why you're reporting. Is it hate speech? Is it harassment? Is it violence? Or is it misinformation? And on many of the social media platforms, you can actually use the reason that it is impersonating another person, such as the false Jennifer Stevens. Now, one of the things you can also do if you see inappropriate online content is to create or take screenshots in case the platform would like evidence of what you have seen. Now, you can take it a step further too. If you are seeing violence or if there is hate speech, illegal activity, or threats, you should report those to law enforcement. I've personally had to do that with information that I have seen on social media in my own neighborhood here in Chicago. You can also report fraud to the Federal Trade Commission if you see somebody who is catfishing and claiming to be a business or claiming to be a person that you might know or claiming to be somebody who has been involved in a tragedy or has a sick family member or they want to bring Matt Damon back from Mars. All of that can also be reported as fraud because that is what it is. Now, if the crimes are serious, you can report cybercrimes to the Internet Crime Complaint Center. Now, both the Federal Trade Commission and the Internet Crime Complaint Center are easily found on the internet by just using Google. So let's talk about how you can be safe and how you can remain private on social media to protect your personal and professional reputations. Now, there are three areas that you are going to want to review on all of the social media platforms that you use. One of them is account security. The second is privacy controls, and the third is content and sharing settings. Now, I'm going to go through each of these individually in the next few slides. Now, account settings. This is to protect your account from being hacked. Now, you have probably done two-factor authentication before, and if you can turn that on in order to protect your account, that would be the best security measure that you can put in place. Now, this is often used if you forget your password or if you are signing in from an unknown computer. Now, sometimes you just might get an SMS, a text message that is giving you a code that you need to put into the website, but two-factor authentication is better. Now, one of the things you're also going to want to review under all of your accounts is your login alerts. You want to turn on those notifications in case there is a login on a device that you don't recognize. Now, one of the hardest things for all of us to do is changing your password regularly. Creating a strong and unique password for each platform is difficult. Now, most of us like to use one password for all of the platforms that we use. Maybe it's a word or, a pet's name or the street on which you were born. And some of us just change it with a capital letter or we add a different number at the end of the passwords. But the stronger and the more unique your passwords are, the more security you are going to have on your accounts. Now, under your account security settings in these platforms, you're also going to want to check what devices are currently connected. Now, I check this quite frequently because I use computers in the office. I use them in the computer lab where I instruct, and I have them on all of my devices. And I want to make sure that if it is connected, any of my accounts are connected to an app or a device that I no longer want to be connected to. For example, if I log into a social media account when when I am at work on my laptop, I want to make sure that I'm logging out so that I'm not staying logged in on that device to my account. You also want to make sure that your recovery options are up to date. So if you get locked out of one of your accounts, that the email and the phone number that you have registered with that platform is up to date and secure, that it is going to a current cell phone or it is going to another email account that you check regularly. Let's go to number 2, which is your privacy controls. Now, this is who can see your information. Now, I'm assuming that most of you are using at least one social media platform, and it's probably Facebook. Most of us have a Facebook account, whether you're using it or not. It is still the most popular social media platform in the world. And is your profile visible just to your friends, or is it visible to everyone? Make sure that you know, and for across all of your platforms. Now, one of the things that I have done on my social media is I don't use my real name. Now, my Facebook is the only social media account where it is actually listed as my full name, Shannon Distel. All of the other social media accounts that I have a nickname as my handle. I do not have my full name anywhere in my profiles on my social medias. Now, some of my social medias are public because I teach social media, and some of them are private. But you need to determine who should see your profile and how they can find you. Can they find you by your email address? Can they find you by putting in your cell phone number? Can they find you if they do a Google search of you? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. You also want to check your activity visibility. Control who sees your activity on social media, your likes, your comments, also your past posts. Now, I've been on Facebook since the mid 2000s, I believe. I don't really use it very much, but since I teach it, I do keep an active profile on Facebook. And I have limited all of my past posts. They are now all private. The only thing that is recent that can be seen on my Facebook are the posts that I have shared within the last year. Everything else has been marked as private because it's quite a lot of content going back through different periods of my life. So make sure that you know what can still be seen. And are your posts public or are they private? Now, story settings. Restrict who can see your stories. Restrict who can see your reels. And restrict who can download and who can share your stories and your reels. And tagging. Now, I have had this in place on my Facebook and my Instagram for quite a long time. Any content that is tagged with my name, especially on Facebook since it's my real name, I have to approve before that post will tag me and go live. And that's because I don't want people tagging me without my permission, whether it's a photo or a video. All right, let's talk about content and sharing settings. You want to make sure that your information, the content that you're sharing, that it's safe and it's not being overshared. One of the first things that I recommend that you do is turn off your automatic location tagging in your posts and your stories. It's just not safe. It's just not safe. You should also hide your personal information for personal and professional reasons. Hide your birthday, hide where you were born, and hide your contact information. There is really no reason that that needs to be public at all. You can also customize your ads to limit the data that is gathered and shared to advertisers about you, what you look at, what you click on, how long you watch a video. Now, all of this is in content and sharing settings on social media platforms. And if you have any questions, I will absolutely share my information with you, and just reach out to me if you have individual questions about any of this. But again, one of the things that will be shared with you in this webinar is a step-by-step for social media platforms, so that you can go into each platform and check your content and your privacy settings. Another thing you should do is disable the tracking across apps and sites. Now, what this means is you might be using your phone and you might be doing a Google search. Maybe you're looking for winter boots. And then you sit down at your laptop and you open up Facebook and, well, there's an ad on Facebook for winter boots. So you want to disable the third-party tracking and that tracking across apps and websites. Face recognition. Protect yourself personally and professionally. Turn off face recognition for yourself and others as well. Now, this is one of the handouts that's going to be available for you, so that you can go onto the platforms that I have listed here: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And you can go in and you can check your privacy settings. This is kind of a step-by-step. You can work through, if you're not using one of these platforms, that's fine, but you're probably, at least everybody in here is at least using one of them, just to check your security settings, just to check. Now, I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was talking about Googling, but if you do not already have a Google alert set up for your name, create one. Now, the website to do that is google.com/alerts. Now, I'm assuming that most people here have a Gmail account, and what happens when you set up an alert is Google will notify you if your name is mentioned on the internet. Now, you can set up multiple alerts, and you will get multiple notifications if you are mentioned on the internet. For example, if there is a public document and your name is mentioned in it, you will get a Google alert that your name is in that document. You may get a Google alert if somebody has posted publicly on social media and used your full name. Now, I have Google alerts set up for various things. Sometimes it's news stories. Sometimes I have a website with a domain name. I like to get alerted if somebody mentions my domain. I have multiple alerts with my full name, with my nickname, with my social media handles. I have Google set up for a Google alert set up for all of those. It's very easy to do. It's very free, and you can create as many Google alerts as you want. This is useful, especially in your professional life. If your employer is mentioning you, maybe it's on a public social media post, maybe it is on the company website. I like to know where I am being mentioned online and on social media. So if I want that post taken down, or if I want maybe my first name and my initial used instead of my full legal name, I can ask someone to revise that content. So Google Alerts are free. I highly recommend them. Now let's talk about some best practices for maintaining a positive digital footprint. But I'm going to tell you one more thing. I'm going to go back to this slide, because while you are on Google, I want you to do something else. Now, I was a librarian for 20 years, and one of the questions that I got asked the most was, I need you to help me find someone. Well, I'm a librarian. I can find pretty much anybody. Now, public records is actually available probably through your public library, and you can find if somebody has a mortgage, filed bankruptcy, real estate transactions, and gotten a divorce, been arrested for a misdemeanor or a felony. Those are public records. They're available. But you should also do a Google search for yourself, and you should do it frequently. Now, as a librarian, we would do something called a Boolean search. And a Boolean search means using quotation marks. So if I was going to be searching for myself, I would be putting my name in quotation marks. Quotation marks, Shannon Distel, and I would do a Google search. What that does is it narrows down the search results so that I'm only seeing my name together, Shannon Distel. Now, you can make your search even narrower if you use the plus sign or the word and. So, for example, when you Google me actually, when you Google my name, Shannon Distel, the first Google search results that show up in on Google is for a police officer who shared my name, Shannon Distel, who was killed in the line of duty over a decade ago. Now, when that unfortunate incident happened, I got contacted and my family got contacted on social media for quite some time, offering their condolences on my death. Now, that was because I shared a name with that police officer. And still, when you do a Google search for me, just with Shannon Distel, you will find that California police officer and the information about his death. Now, to narrow down the search results to find me, you do a Boolean search with quotations, Shannon Distel, and or plus Chicago. You find me. Now, that Boolean search will help you, one, find other people, but it will also help you find information about yourself. What is out there with your name? What is out there with your social media handle if you are using maybe not your name in your social media name? So, a Boolean search can be really, really helpful to check what is being said about you online. So, remember that Boolean search, use the plus sign or the word and combine a name and a location, or a name and a business, a name and a school. It means number one, don't post on social media, personally or professionally, when you're emotional. If you've had a bad day at work, don't take it to social media. Consider your audience and the context of the platform on which you're posting. Facebook is very different than LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a wonderful social networking tool professionally, but it's not where you're going to share that you've had a bad day at work. It's not where you're going to share that you're on vacation. It's not going to be the platform that you're going to share because you've adopted a cat. Okay. So please be intentional with what you post and where you post it. Think before you post. This is a nice little acronym here. What you are posting, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Think before you post. And communicate with respect, obviously. But so many people, unfortunately, do not treat online discussions like they're real life conversations. You need to treat online discussions like real life conversations. It's like you're sitting in front of another person, okay? If you won't say it to somebody's face, it doesn't belong on social media. Use inclusive and respectful language and create safe spaces. I saw somebody had mentioned Facebook groups in when we had a previous question. Facebook groups are wonderful places to create safe spaces as long as they're being monitored. So if you are not finding safe spaces for what you want to discuss on social media, or you're not finding safe spaces if you are looking to gain training or you're looking to connect with your peers, then create one yourself as long as you're monitoring the content. Now, this goes without saying, you're always going to want to maintain your professionalism. So, proper grammar and tone on social media platforms. Please check your spelling. Excessive slang and emojis in personal content does not belong on professional networking sites. And keep your profile photos and your usernames professional. Only one of these photos belongs on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, it's not the girl on vacation. Okay. So for many, many, many years as a librarian, I was a business librarian. I would help small businesses and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and job seekers use social media for learning new skills, for connecting with their peers, and for looking for jobs. And one of the things that we always had to talk about was what was an appropriate profile picture and an appropriate name for your social media platforms. So keep that in mind if you are creating or revising yours. Protect your privacy and protect the privacy of others. Don't share personal details. Don't share your personal details and don't share others' personal details without their consent. You want to tag somebody in a social media post, get their permission. You want to mention a business, I hope that the post is positive. Review those privacy settings regularly, especially with those handouts that we're going to provide for you today, and be mindful of what you share with others. There is only so much content that you should be putting on social media because remember, social media is permanent. The internet is permanent. If you don't trust me on that one, check out the Wayback Machine. You'll be able to find websites and posts and contents that lots of people thought had been taken down or deleted. Share content ethically. Please credit the creators of content. This is not as common as it should be. Content can be shared quite easily now. We reshare content all the time. Just please make sure that if you're sharing content, you are giving credit to the person who created that content. Don't share fake news or unverified information. If you don't know if it's true, don't share it. And avoid posting copyrighted material without permission. So that goes to say with pretty much anything that you're putting, especially on professional networks. Think long term. And when I mean think long term, ask yourself these questions because everything on the internet is permanent. Would you be okay if a future employer saw it? Would you be okay if a future partner saw it? Would you be okay if a future family member saw it? And this goes across everything. A picture, a video, a comment, a like. Just think before you post and think before you share. So be a positive digital citizen. I had done a previous webinar on digital citizenship. I know that that was recorded and available if you have questions on digital citizenship, but always, always promote kindness and report the harmful content. So yes, look at those platforms for if you see inappropriate content and how you can report it on the individual platforms that you're using. And always be the one who is being respectful with the engagement. Now, help your family, friends, and colleagues with technology and alert them to scams, spam, phishing, and robocalls. That's just being a kind digital citizen. The more that we help others, the better it is for our personal and professional use on the internet. Okay. We want to stop the scams. We want to stop the spam. We want to stop the misinformation, and we want to stop the spread of that information as well. Now, I have a lot of students who cycle through my classes. We have 4 terms a year at Trellis, and one of the things that I hear the most from especially my older students who are coming in to learn technology is my family won't help me. So if there is somebody in your life that you can share information with about how to stay secure, maybe share the handouts or those that information that we're going to provide you with today, and share that with somebody that so that we can keep people safe on the internet. We can keep their reputations intact. That would be great. We're just going to keep spreading the joy. Okay, now positive opportunities for online engagement. I have shared a number of not positive things that have happened on social media and the internet, but let's talk about some positive opportunities with online engagement. Networking. Networking is fantastic. You are all here. We're networking together. Please feel free, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's network. Let's stay engaged with everything that we're doing online. Personal branding. If you are a solopreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are creating a brand, do you have services that you are offering? Do you have a small business? Positive opportunities for this online engagement includes personal branding. So building credibility and trust in digital communities. This is incredibly popular and incredibly important, whether you're a student, whether you are a mentor, whether you are a new employee, whether you are in politics, whatever it is, building credibility and trust, helping to stop the misinformation, being the positive promoter of good quality content and helping others is always great. And real life stories of career impact. I'm going to show you a couple in another slide, a couple of headlines from that, and be the advocate and start constructive dialogue on how we can stay safe, how we can make sure that other people understand social etiquette or netiquette, and how we can really just engage more actively and more helpfully whatever platform that you're using. Now, I wanted to put this slide in here. You might recognize this. This is the Dove Real Beauty campaign, which, believe it or not, started way back in 2004. Now, they aimed to redefine beauty standards by featuring real women of various shapes and sizes and backgrounds. Now, the campaign utilized user-generated content, encouraging women to share their stories and their images. And social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook were central to its strategy, and it was incredibly successful. The campaign led to a significant increase in brand loyalty, with Dove's sales rising from 2.5 billion to over 4 billion. It sparked widespread discussions about beauty standards and body positivity. This was a great, great thing for Dove and their professional reputation. So I love this example because it's actually still continuing. This campaign, this Real Beauty campaign, still continues, and I'm just a big fan. Now, with the bad comes the good. Let's talk about some good headlines. Woman landing a role at Google with the help of her viral job application. She created this wonderful job application about her skills and it went viral. She was earnest, she was real, she was enthusiastic, and it helped her land a job. Kickstarted my career from Facebook. Man's viral job application video led to multiple interviews. This was incredibly popular during COVID when our interaction with each other was pretty much only digital for quite some time. And people got really creative, and it helped not only their personal reputations, but their professional reputations. So, not everything that gets shared on social media is bad. Hashtags got me hired on Instagram. And this was somebody who was following hashtags that a particular company was sharing on Instagram and was engaging by following the hashtag. And the more engagement that they did with this company on Instagram got them noticed and eventually got them hired at that company. Found it my job through an employee social media post. So yes, please continue to engage in all of the content that you're currently engaging in. I'm hopeful that some of these tips that I've given you, these guidelines, will have you looking at your security, looking at the content that you're posting, and just making sure that you are staying safe online for personal and professional reasons. Now, if you have any questions about what you are posting on social media content, or even if you have any questions on how to take a look at your privacy and your content settings, you can use AI. Now, I'm a fan of ChatGPT, and I have used it to help me create social media content. I have used ChatGPT to help me proofread content. I have asked ChatGPT to fact check information that I have seen posted online and on social media. And I have used ChatGPT to help design polls and questions in my workplace, whether I'm using it for my students or I'm using it for my coworkers. ChatGPT is really a great tool that some of you might not be thinking about when you are creating content on social media. Now, this is an example of using ChatGPT. The user said, craft an uplifting Instagram caption for a motivation with a motivational quote with a positive and encouraging tone, add relevant hashtags for personal development and empowerment. And ChatGPT returned with that answer. Now, of course, you could then use that answer from ChatGPT to put your own voice onto that suggestion for content creation before you shared it to your platforms. Now, my last thing that I want to say to you, hopefully that you have absorbed from this webinar, is if it's on the internet, it isn't private. So before I end this today and take questions, let's go through 3 more slides, and I would like to know your answer to each slide in the chat. The first one. Is this safe or unsafe to post on social media? Correct, Amy. This is unsafe. And unfortunately, Way too common. Please, please don't share where you are on social media while you are in that location. This is unsafe. Okay, let's do the next one. Is this appropriate for Facebook or LinkedIn? Yes, that's correct. We all love cats and dogs, right? They're like the most popular pictures on social media. Please don't put them on LinkedIn unless you work for an animal rescue. Okay, and real or fake? You got it, Brenda. Fake, 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 fake. Well done. Well done. I would really like that $5,000, but yeah, fake. All right, questions and answers. Sarah, Kirsten, is it okay if I stop sharing? I'm going to put my email in the chat if that's okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
If anybody has any questions, security, content, just drop me an email. I'd be happy to help.
Great. Thank you so much. Just a couple of reminders. Um, Feel free to type any questions in the chat or the Q&A while I'm kind of wrapping us up here. But if you would like an adult education Title II professional development certificate, you can email Linda Zimmerman. Sarah Golding put her email in the chat. And then also today's webinar was being recorded. Excuse me. And the recording will be on our website. The follow-up email that you will receive tomorrow will receive or will house the hyperlink where you can access the website as well as the follow-up survey too. So we appreciate your feedback on that. Shannon, we did have one question. How do we protect our info from the government? Someone asked.
Well, I'm not sure what information that you need, but what a lot of people don't know is that so much of your information is public record. So I mentioned that earlier. If you have a public library card, your library might have something called Check Illinois, which is access to the public records in Illinois. Now, your library will probably only have access to this database for the state of Illinois. That is usually the first place to go to see what information about yours is public, which means if it's public, anybody can see it, whether it's your employer, the government, whomever. That would include real estate transactions, the mortgage amount that you took out to purchase your home, if you've been divorced, if you have been arrested, if you have a business license. So all of that information is public. And there's not much we can do about that. Now, if you wanted to protect your personal information from whomever, including government officials, well, don't use social media. Or your option would be use social media with a handle. Do you have a nickname? Do you have a small business name or something that you might want to use where you're not using, for example, Shannon Distal is really only used on my Facebook account, but it's not used on my other social medias. Maintaining privacy when you're using the internet is very, very, very difficult, especially if you're using social media. All of those things, if you have created a social media account, you know that you have to use a real cell phone number to set up those social media platforms. So your options are don't use or use it with perhaps not your full name. If you wanted to use social media, maybe just to engage personally with your friends and coworkers, then use a name that is not your legal name. That might help. But besides that, I can't give you much advice on how to keep other information from the government. That's a good question. So yes, the slides are available, and there are two handouts. Security guidelines, which is actually a checklist that you can do annually to check your security guidelines, and also that step-by-step on checking your privacy and your content settings on the platform. So there's three things available for you guys today. And thank you so much again for having me. This is my second webinar, and I'm really honored to have been asked to do a Wednesday webinar. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm just going to go ahead and put those resources that you just talked about in the chat. So Shannon's slides and then the two handouts as well. Those are in the chat if you would like to download them. They will also be on the website tomorrow, but just if you would like them right now to save. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just giving it a second for anyone who wants to download those resources, but thank you, Shannon. We'll go ahead and wrap up. We appreciate your time today and have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon.
Bye, everyone.